Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MJR YouTube channel. News just in. President William Samoei Ruto has appointed three gentlemen into his cabinet. And at the moment, none of the previous cabinet ministers has been fired. So to add these three, we must go deep into the reasons why the president decided to call former politicians, former ministers, former governors back into his cabinet. And before we go into details on to the reason why we opted to say something about it, I want to invite you to consider subscribing to that channel. Now, I saw the names such as William Kabogo, names such as Mutahi and Kinyanjui appearing into the new list of cabinet ministers. But before I say something about the three, let me tell you that now President William Ruto has appointed Kipchumba Murkomen, who was previously the CS for Sports, to head the Ministry of Interior. And the Ministry of Interior is one of the biggest ministries in this country. And that docket finally has landed to William Ruto's right-hand man. Kipchumba Murkomen is one of the people whom William Samoei Ruto trusts. And that is why, even after winning his Elgeyo Marakwet senatorial seat, he was appointed cabinet minister. So this is a person who has gone a long way, has sacrificed, and has dedicated himself to serve William Samoei Ruto. And finally, he has landed a super ministry. Let me go back to the three. The meeting which President William Samoei Ruto held with former President Uhuru Kenyatta was not just a mere meeting. It did not come by a sheer opportunity. It was a meeting which was well planned and was executed at the right time. And the consequences of that meeting is what we are now going to experience. And it is out of this meeting that William Kabogo, Kinyanjui, and Mutahi are coming back to serve into the civil servants, into the executive. Now, Kinyanjui was Nakuru governor, and at some point he had formed his political party called Ubuntu People's Party, but later on he was persuaded to come and vie with the Jubilee ticket. Mutahi, we will remember the work he did during COVID. In fact, Uhuru Kenyatta appointed him in his second term, in fact, towards the end, immediately in the early 2020, and people saw how he handled the Ministry of Ministry of Health. But now he has been called back to serve as the Minister of Agriculture. And Agriculture was previously held by Andrew Karanja. So that docket, Agriculture and Livestock, was under Andrew Karanja, who was also a Kikuyu, and it has been given back again to a Kikuyu, but we have not been told whether Karanja has been fired or Ruto has decided to split that ministry into two. Now, Kinyanjui, who is now coming into the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Economic Planning, the docket which was previously held by Salim Vuria, who has now been moved to sports. Now, the question is, whether the ministry will be split into two or it will just remain one docket. Let me now tell you the reasons or my observations towards this decision. Now, number one is that the Uhuru Kenyatta factor, which now informed some decisions in this politics. In politics of Kenya, there are some names which you cannot rule out. The Kenyatta family and the Odinga family. Then, which leaves Kenyans with food for thought. Where will now Rigathi Gachagua do his politics? Because some of the key things or the agendas he would have sold, President William Ruto has thwarted. When he brought Uhuru Kenyatta on board, people thought it was a joke. But let me take you back. You know, when Raila Odinga met William Ruto to form broad-based government, he said something which Jeremiah Kioni quickly rubbished, that Uhuru Kenyatta called him and told him to go and meet Ruto. Jubilee Party came to rubbish and through Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Secretary General. But now it can be seen that indeed Uhuru Kenyatta's hand was in broad-based government. And just few days after the meeting that they did came public, and it is said that they've been doing so many meetings, but this was the first to go public. Now you can see Uhuru Kenyatta's men has been now brought into the government. Now, regional balance is also a factor. If you look at the appointment, look at Kinyanjui, he is a Kikuyu. Look at William Kabogo, who is now going to come into the ICT docket. He is a Kikuyu, former governor of Kiambu. Look, Mutahi, who had sometimes vied as Nyeri senator, but he failed, but also served. He is a Kikuyu. So he has added 3 more senior Kikuyu leaders into his cabinet. Will this change anything towards 2027 general election? That is the question which we must say, and I can now tell you it will impact the decision come 2027. Because when he fired Rigathi Gachagua, he replaced him with the person from Mount Kenya. And people said that indeed Kithure Kindiki will not add much, and even his appointed was not welcomed with celebration. There were no celebration going on around Mount Kenya or even his backyard. People said he cannot galvanize a lot or bring more vote into William Ruto's basket. But now think of William Kabogo on board, Moses Kuria on board, Kinyanjui on board, Mutahi on board, and many other names from Mount Kenya and those who are still running politics of the mountain. We can now say that they are now trying to push Rigathi Gachagua into a certain corner where he cannot breathe or do much to change William Ruto's influence in Mount Kenya. But what we know that is that William Ruto's influence in Mount Kenya has gone down, and that his popularity has diminished with time. But these are also some of the decisions that will see him at least try to regain his popularity within Mount Kenya. Another factor which might have prompted William Samoei Ruto to bring this gentleman on board is competency. Competency could be one of the reasons why he going back to the old folks, while we think that he should now start bringing in new blood. Maybe William Ruto has realized that the government cannot be run the way he thought in the first place. We remember when he came in, he just fired everybody and recruited his lieutenant into the government. But now, with time, he started reshuffling the cabinet, removing minister from one ministry to the other, from one docket to the next. There are some cabinet ministers here who have been reshuffled more than 3 times now. We remember the first cabinet, he fired everybody after Gen Z's protest. After then, he came up with the broad-based, and he's now continuing to broaden his government by bringing more old men back into the government and to continue to serve Kenyans. Now, I want also to say something which maybe would be possible, is that this cabinet is going to be expanded. Many more men are going to come back, because the Ministry of Interior, which was held by Musalia Mudavadi in an acting position, has now been fully given a person in charge in the name of Kipchumba Murkomen. But now the Ministry of Agriculture, we've not been told whether the previous minister, Andrew Karanja, has been fired, but that ministry has been handed over to Mutahi Kagwe. And ICT is also a ministry which was held by a Kikuyu by the name Margaret N. Ndungu. And ICT, information and communication, was also merged by the digital economy. So we are going to wait and see if more names are going to come on board, or we are going just to maintain the number and some few ministers are going to be reshuffled or be moved to other positions just within the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we can say at the moment. But going on, we are going to continue shedding more light and giving you more analysis regarding the president's decision and the state of the nation. Thank you, and may God bless you.